Yeah, I wanted to get this off my chest because I've got daily readings to do as usual, and you know the drill. I've got to get shit off my chest before I do the reading. So, um, yeah, first thing, yesterday was great. Like, I had a great night yesterday. I can't lie. I'm not gonna say exactly what I was doing, but I had the most amazing night. Um, it was wonderful. Like, regardless of the outcome of this night, I had a beautiful night. The little girl was terrified though, and all right, so she basically begged out loud, please don't put a hex on me. Oh my Jesus. Okay, so I was doing some manifestation work basically, and the thing is, I've done it here before, and they've heard me do it before. I tried to keep my voice to a minimum, but it's like when the spirit gets you, you can't contain it. Seriously, look at me. Fuck, sorry. It's just the act of doing it that just brings me joy. And it's not necessarily because of how anybody else reacts. It's just like, it feels right. But yeah, the little girl was crying and she was begging me not to hex her because of the live that I made yesterday. Now, I did make it clear that when she came up the stairs, she was bragging about people hating me, but I don't know for sure. But the thing that I've learned with this family is that if you first hear something with them, believe it, because you're probably right. But, even in saying that, like, why would I hex them? This is what happens when you grow up with a family that teaches the difference between races and not the difference between age. And I don't mean it like that, like you should respect your elders, because basic respect should be given to everyone, race regardless, age regardless. Like, a basic respect should be given to everyone. Basic kindness should be given to everyone. We don't live in a world like that, but basic kindness, respect, and the benefit of the doubt should be given to everyone, age regardless. So when I say teach your children the difference between age, if you'd have taught your child some common sense, and if you'd have taught your child that me and her is not age, then she would have realized that there's no way in hell I'm going to perform a hex on a small child. No fucking way am I going to do that. Because let's be clear, children are annoying. Children can be cruel. Children can be sociopathic. But I've said it before and I will say it again. When it comes to the abuse that goes on, that runs rampant in this world, who are responsible? Adults. This trafficking ring that I'm being subjected to, this torture that I'm being subjected to, every single day, this gaslighting, this online fraud, this financial fucking, all this shit that I'm going through is not because of children. It's not because of children, and orders are definitely not given by children. They're given by adults. That's one of the, like, even from, like, taking away morals for a second, everybody knows it's morally wrong to fucking abuse a kid. But even just logically, like on some logical shit. Logical. Why would anybody in their reasonable and logical mind perform a hex or do anything of that nature to a child? Why? And this is what happens when you don't teach your children the difference between age. This is what happens when you don't teach your children properly. Full stop. They think they can go around cussing people out just because they think they're entitled to be liked no matter how badly they behave. That's what I'm saying. Like, there is no way in hell I'm gonna hex a fucking child, and especially one that's like weighs like a bag of sugar. What? I'm not doing that. I had fun last night. I was having fun. That fun does not involve pissing off that family. Do you know why? Do you know why the little girl was frightened that I'd hex her? is because if she was in my position, that's what she would do. Because she's that spiteful. If she was in my position, that's what she would do. If somebody had been harassing her for 2 months, the same way she had been harassing me for 2 months, even when her mum told her to knock it off, that's what she would do. That's why she's trying to project that onto me. She's a kid, right? She doesn't understand she's doing that. But that's why. Because she knows her behaviour is bad. So I'm thinking, if you know your behaviour is bad, and you know you're hurting people, and you know you're hurting your family, and you know you're hurting people who really don't deserve it, stop. But it's that compulsion, it's that compulsiveness, it's that obsession, it's that addiction. That's an addictive quality when you get obsessed. When you can't switch off, even when you know it's the better thing to do. But even when you're an addict, you have more control than you think. That's what nobody ever tells you. You have more control than you think you do. When you're being compulsive and when you're engaging in compulsive behavior, you can feel when it's happening, even when you're a kid. And if you can feel what it's happening, there's that choice, isn't there, of choosing to feel something else. But instead of choosing to feel something else, you let your compulsion lead. But again, if these children are raised by a compulsive person, what's going to happen? They're gonna keep begging me not to hurt them, begging me not to. Well, I mean, fucking hell, I'm not gonna hurt a kid. They're gonna keep begging me not to hurt them, begging me not to hurt their mum, and still keep talking shit, still keep trying to make me angry, because it's compulsive. It's not born out of happiness or enjoyment. So I'm gonna stop talking about it now. I'm stop talking about this. The real reason I came on here was not to talk about that family. It was to talk about the Jim Jones situation. Apparently, this gentleman talked about the fact that him and his mother practiced French kissing. The thing that really leaves a nasty taste in my mouth is the fact that this man basically confessed to his mother either like directly sexually abusing him or making him into an emotional spouse, like crossing sexual boundaries. In any case, he's just crossing sexual boundaries at this point. And Jim Jones coming out about that, instead of us thinking to ourselves, we really need to talk about how men, and especially black men, are sexually abused as children, and how it doesn't make them weak. It doesn't make them, it happens. It happens to everyone. It happens to so many children. Like, children go through, this is why I say adults are the worst. The abuse that these children go through. And instead of basically trying to understand Jim Jones's pain from the position of him being a kid and having his own motherfucking either French him or cross those sexual boundaries. Like, there shouldn't be anything sexual related to a parent and a child at all, but crossing those boundaries in order to teach your child fucking French kissing, I don't care how old he was, like, that's incestual abuse. And in fact, it happened when he was a kid. That's incestual abuse, even if he was an adult when she was teaching him these things, let alone as a child, where it's clear child abuse. But what are people focused on? Oh, black mothers are coddling their sons and black mothers are teaching their sons that they can do no wrong. Wait a minute, this man talked about being abused, and that's what you took away from it? This man came out and said, my mom abused me. Now, he didn't put it like that, and he doesn't think of it like that. But he basically said, I was abused by my mom. And what you take away from this is black men are coddled by their moms. That's what you take away from it. You think sexual abuse is coddling. Yeah? Where did they do that at? Do you know how many sexually abused women are slut shamed. And we've all agreed that's wrong. So why is it suddenly acceptable to do that to a man? Because he would, like, if you want to get him together over his misogynistic treatment of women, you want to get him together like that, then get him together based on what he does now. Don't weaponize his fucking abuse against him in order to make a point about black mothers coddling. Because when black mothers coddle, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like her sexually abusing her fucking son. There's a difference between spoiling a man and sexually abusing him. There's a big difference. And the fact that that distinction is not made, that leaves a nasty taste in the mouth for me. Why are we not sympathizing with Jim Jones as a victim? Why, how did Jim Jones get to this point where he didn't see himself as a victim of child abuse either? How did we get to this point? And incestual abuse. How do we get incestuous abuse? How do we get to this point where Jim Jones doesn't even realize how he's been abused? And it happens to men more often than people think. But nobody takes it seriously because they're boys. And black boys especially forget it. Forget it if they're black boys. But then I'd be a coddling mammy, right, if I started talking about how men are being abused and how that shouldn't be trivialized to fucking reinforce my feelings as a woman. But I'm coddling, right? Yeah. It just doesn't sit right with me. And I just feel like it's really like morally abhorrent. If you want to talk about misogyny, have an honest conversation about it. But don't act like you can suddenly take this man's abuse and then try to make it political. Like when you... It triggered me as well because then it made me remember my own history with sexual abuse. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Suffice to say, I have grown up with the dysfunction around sex, and there was a lot of sexual shame. A lot of sexual shame. Either sex was used as a way to shame people or it is used as a form of control. I've been in multiple situations where I've been sexually humiliated, even though the part of the other person doing it to me wasn't to get off, it was simply to embarrass me. Or to keep me in my place, or to punish me for being angry with them. Like, for instance, I would get upset with one of my parents and I'd go into my room. I wouldn't talk to them. I'd go into my room and, either one of them or my mum's partner will bust in the door, regardless of whether I'm changing or not. That's a form of sexual humiliation. That's a form of degradation sexually. They're not getting off. They're not turned on by it. It's got nothing to do with that. But they're using sex as a way to shame you. Using nudity as a way to shame you. And on both sides, there have been a lot of crossed boundaries. There have been a lot of, but it's more towards my mum's side than my dad's. The sexual shame, it kind of came up in different ways. So on my dad's side of the family, it came from, there were honest conversations around sex, but there was a lot of prudishness going on. And then on the other side, it seemed like there was a lack of control sometimes with the way children were exposed to sex or children were exposed to pornography and stuff. It was like there was a lack of boundaries really when it came to discussions around sex. It was weird because it's like the adults were very, very frank about their sex lives to children, which is not supposed to be like that. But then children can't talk about it. It's weird. It's like people were using sex as a way to determine how much respect they had for themselves. And because of the way I was taught, it affects people differently. When there's sexual shame, right, either you can become really prudish or you can become like me. I wasn't actually that promiscuous. I was just really desperate. And the thing is that I was really desperate. It wasn't sex that I wanted though. It was just a way to kind of, yeah, it was weird because it was like that sexual shame. It kind of, I can't call myself promiscuous. That's not what it is. There are other women who have slept with more partners than me, but they had respect. You understand? They had respect for themselves. But I saw fucking and not having respect for yourself as the same thing. So I disrespected myself through sex because I had a sexual shame from being sexually humiliated and sexually abused in some cases. That's not to do with my immediate family, the sexual abuse, but I was sexually abused from a young age. So, and I'm talking about as young as 5 or 6. Sexually abused and sexualized, like from that age. So I was sexualized from a very young age. And yeah, I think looking back now, I think I didn't respect myself. And I didn't respect myself because I felt ashamed that when my boundaries were crossed, I froze. That's what it kind of boils down to. When I was in the position of being sexually abused, sexually assaulted, molested, even raped. Like I've been raped like how many times? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. So all of those like 4 times. But it's not the type of rape where, you're being punched in the face and just repeatedly punched and like held down on the floor. It's like when you say stop and they not only do they not stop, they just keep going. Like you don't want them to keep going, you want them to stop, but they don't stop. So I've been raped about 4 times. That's not the type of rape that you can go to the police about, but it's still rape because, it's robbing you of your consent. So I've been raped 4 times as an adult. And, and even though you still, a couple of times, more than a couple of times, I still went back for more after that out of lack of self-respect. And, but it doesn't mean that you weren't raped. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It just meant that you didn't respect yourself enough to have that boundary not to go back there. But that's what would happen to me when I conflated lack of self-respect with sexuality. And what it goes back down to is guilt over not defending myself. So that must mean I wanted it, right? I mean, when I was being abused, my body reacted a certain way. I froze. I didn't fight back. Didn't scream. So that must have meant I wanted it, right? So maybe in the back of my mind, I was slut shaming myself because I felt like a slut anyway because of the abuse situation and how I responded to it. Even being sexually abused and sexually harassed, now it brings me back to that place. So instead of being like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? I will brush it off, act like it's nothing, and then go behind these people's backs and say, yeah, they sexually harassed me. Yes, they were inappropriate. Yes, they did fucking ask me for a blowjob or ask me for a handjob or whatever. So it brings me back to that place now, which basically makes it the gang stalker's favorite thing to do to me. They like to try to use sexual abuse in order to shame me because they know sexual shame makes up a huge part of my background. But yeah, I basically slut shamed myself. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was slut shaming myself. Because it's one thing to have sex and it's another thing to have no respect for yourself. And it really annoys me when people conflate sexual activity or sexual autonomy with lack of respect. They're not the same thing. Pisses me off. I don't like that shit. I really don't like it. It's not the same. But I was slut shaming myself, and then I ended up befriending people who slut shamed me, who felt the same way about sex and who slut shamed me. And I didn't even realize that at the time. This person was just basically, you know, these friends that slut shamed me, I was basically vocalizing or acting out everything that they were thinking. So everything that they were thinking, I was thinking, and I didn't even realize. And that sexual shame, again, it's like, it comes back to sexual shame. That's the effect that sexual shame has on you. It just makes you desperate. But there's desperation and then there's sexual activity, and they're not the same. Because there have been, you know, the same friends that I had that slut shame me, they were desperate for male approval, very desperate, but it didn't manifest as being sexual. It manifested as befriending them and stringing them along and, you know, and bragging about how much respect those men had for them. Now, it didn't matter whether these men were drug dealers. It didn't matter if these men were fucking people underage. It didn't matter if these men were lying about their age. It didn't matter if these men were promiscuous themselves. I hung around friends who bragged about the fact that these men respected them because they kept their legs closed as a woman. So that's desperate as well. So I was a desperate person hanging around desperate people. And that desperation, just like with my family background, that sexual shame, it manifested in a dichotomy between me being the sort of trampy one and the other one being the prude. So don't underestimate the power of sexual shame and the effect that it can have on people's sexual behavior. I have been sexually abused for most of my fucking life. Like, hang on, let me just think. Because I know of only two people, like I haven't been with a lot of guys, but I've had a lot of guys approach me. And there's only a handful of men out of the men that have approached me that I can honestly say they did not sexually objectify me or didn't treat me like a sexual favor. There's one Ghanaian man that I met. Like, I met 3 Ghanaian dudes when I first came to Brighton. The first one was not interested in me because they were married, and to be honest, I wasn't interested in him either. He seemed cool, but he was married, so I wasn't, yeah. The second one was just openly leering at me. Just openly. No respect. Just openly leering at me. And the third one was so lovely. He was such a gentleman. Oh my gosh. He was so nice. And I'm thinking, why didn't I get that guy's number? But that guy was a gentleman. He was a gentleman. He was a gentleman, man. He was lovely. He was a gentleman. He really was. And then I went to the hostel. One guy asked for a hand job before he even knew what my name was. The second one asked what colour black women's pussies are. Another one basically showed my ass to his wife via FaceTime. To try and shame me, to try and body shame me to his wife, even though he was checking for me. And no, fuck off. Not in your wildest fucking dreams, mate. And yeah, I went through a lot of sexual abuse. Well, not sexual abuse. That's the wrong word. The wrong word is abuse. It's sexual harassment at the hostel, yeah. So I went through a lot of sexual harassment at the hostel. But there was this one Ghanaian guy. Again, they're always Ghanaian. There was this one Ghanaian dude down there. Lovely man. And I don't know why I didn't get his number. Lovely guy. He was a stocky sort of brethren, you know. He was he was nice, man. He was nice. But I'm trying to illustrate an example that most of the men that I come into contact with have been sleazy. Now imagine if I was skinny. When I was skinny, it was even worse. When I was skinny, the shit was even worse. It was disgusting. The amount of people that like sexually objectified me, like when I had no interest in them whatsoever, and they knew that I wasn't interested in them. They simply did it to try and make me feel uncomfortable. Because when a man, when you're not interested in a man and he knows it, he uses leering and sexual harassment to make you feel uncomfortable about being comfortable in your own skin sexually. That's what they do, right? So even when I'm fat, most of the guys, or even the women, like women, it's the same thing. But then with women, I don't really mind. I don't know why. With women, I don't really mind. I don't really mind. In fact, I wish I had more like aggressive femmes like trying to hit on me. Like I wish I had more of that, but fuck it. But when it comes to men, most of them are sleazy. Most of them are, most of them were sleaze bags when it came to me. And that's just when I was big. I was bigger than this. That's just when I was big. So you can imagine how many decent men, how many men that respected consent have actually been in my life. And I feel like, in a way, that's why I was obsessed with men who were emotionally distant. Because if they were emotionally distant, then they weren't sexually abusing me. But ironically, whilst I didn't necessarily sexually abuse them, I did become obsessed with them. And it got to a point where I was crossing their boundaries in the same way these men had crossed mine. And I didn't realize I was doing it. I think the disinterest makes it worse, if I'm honest. I think when a woman is disinterested, that, I don't know why, but it makes men more aggressive when they know you're not interested. And I don't know why that is. It makes them more aggressive, not respectful, aggressive. It makes them more sexually aggressive to the point where they'll use romance to lure you in. There's something about a woman not being interested and a woman being happy as well that turns men on. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing if a woman's happy and a man finds that attractive. Where it becomes a problem is where you try to suck the life out of her by making her feel uncomfortable, by sexually shaming her, and by abusing her. That's when it becomes a problem. But out of all the men that I've met, I've only met a handful of decent ones. I'm not lying to you. How many guys have I been with? I've been with I think maybe 11, 12 guys in my life. I'm 36 now. So that's it's not that many. And I know of only two men. Two, mind you. Two men that respected my boundaries. Two. So out of 12 men, there were two people who respected my boundaries, two men who respected my boundaries. One of them was somebody that I met through one of my friends. And the second one was my partner, the current partner that I have now. And the thing about it is that he actually wants me. He wants me. He is attracted to me. Clearly very attracted to me sexually. You want to see how he is when he's with me. But because he respects me as a person, when he is attracted to me, it doesn't feel sleazy. It feels enjoyable. It feels how it's supposed to feel, because there's not this sense of sexual shame around him. He likes sex and he doesn't see anything shameful about it. And being around somebody like that, it changes you. And it kind of makes you realize, I've been working on myself anyway when it comes to consent and when it comes to sexuality. I've been working on myself anyway. But being around somebody who respects sex, and it's not even just him. There was a friend that I used to have, female friend. I was attracted to her. She was attracted to me. And I made it plain. I said, look, I'm attracted to you, But I don't want to treat you how men have treated me. I want you to be able to trust me, and I want you to be able to feel comfortable around me. And she said, yeah, I got you. So I've been working on myself. I'd been working on myself in terms of consent. A lot of rocky periods along the way. A lot of rocky periods along the way. A lot of learning that I had to do along the way. But then this guy came along and he kind of like gently helped me understand, it's okay to have some level of autonomy, and sex is not dirty, it's not cheap, it's not nasty, it's not something to use or weaponize to shame people. It's okay. Do I think that we're going to be together for the rest of our lives? I don't know. But I know what he's taught me now, and I know how I feel about him now, and I know that I will always be grateful to him. This guy's 5 years younger than me, but he has taught me more about sex and love and relationships than anybody else could really have taught me, because first of all, not only does he respect my consent, he respects me. And the irony of that is, it's only when I stopped being conventionally attractive, when I gained weight, when everybody thought I was crazy, that was the time when I actually found somebody who actually respected me as a person. When I became a loser in everyone's eyes, that's when it happened. The irony. The fucking irony. It was only when everybody said I was fat and crazy. That's the only time when people, when men actually, not men, but that was the only time I actually found people who respected me and who were sexually attracted to me at the same time. Meaning that respect and sexual attraction were never mutually exclusive. It was only when I lost everything that I gained that. Can you imagine how much worse it would have been if I was skinny? I'd rather have people repulsed by me in my little fucking shorts than the opposite, because people can't control themselves when it comes to me. So, I want to lose weight for the purpose of health, but when it comes to me, people just can't control themselves. And it doesn't even matter what I wear. Like, I could be buttoned up, but there's something about me that just elicits like a lack of control in people. I don't know what it is, but I know that 2 people or 3 people, because I've got to include the woman as well, I've got to include the friend as well. In my life, I have met, like, when it comes to sexual encounters or sexual attraction, I have literally met 3 people who respected my consent. And irony of all ironies, there have been like 4 people whose consent I didn't respect, and I will always regret that. And that's not in terms of sexuality necessarily, but in terms of emotional boundaries. I didn't respect their consent, and I just feel, even if they liked me, I don't care. They could have liked me, but it just doesn't justify crossing their boundaries in the same way that somebody crossed mine. It just doesn't justify it. But that's what sexual shame causes. It causes you to view sex as a weapon or as a tool of power or as, a way to even denigrate yourself or denigrate other people. Jim Jones clearly has some sexual shame. Like T.I. clearly has some sexual shame. I believe that Tiny kind of started a relationship with him when he was underage, which is abuse. And then on top of that, Lil Boozy has what did he do to his son? Apparently he's been hiring prostitutes for his son when his son is underage, and I'm like, nah, like, again, sexual shame affects people differently, but men are taught to channel that sexual shame into fucking everything and everyone. So I feel like a man being with multiple people is a natural thing for him, which is why in order to balance him out, he's kind of taught not to ejaculate. He's kind of taught to kind of hold his semen within him, because it's a natural biological impulse for a man to basically fuck around. Basically, it's a natural biological response, which is why he's often taught to be less promiscuous and retain his semen and all that type of stuff. It's an alchemical thing. It's about balance, right? So that's why men are often taught in sexual alchemy to be a bit more restrained and to hold in their energy, because men are more biologically predisposed to fucking around. I mean, they've got multiple seed in their fucking sack. They got multiple seed in their sack, right? Millions. You're not about to tell me a man's got millions of sperm in him and he's not supposed to impregnate like multiple women. You're not about to tell me that. But in order for a man to be whole, he has to kind of go against his natural instincts in order to find the right people or the right women to procreate with. That's why I'm kind of disillusioned with the polyamory that men talk about. No, you just want an excuse to fuck around. That's like, nah. There's a way that you're supposed to do it. It's like sexual freedom is a thing that you have to manage. The more sexually free you are, the more responsibility you're supposed to take, which is why in sexual alchemy, the man is supposed to withhold while the woman is supposed to be more sexually active. She's just not supposed to penetrate. So a woman's natural instinct or a natural impulse is to close legs till you find the right person, or till you find somebody who's worthy, right? And I think that's why lower frequency men are kind of persistent with a woman who's not interested, because they think to themselves, you know, I have to show her that I'm worthy before she takes a chance on me. And in their minds, maybe they think being worthy means being aggressive or making her feel uncomfortable. But yeah, for a natural response as a woman is to be like, Zoop! But that's exactly why in sexual alchemy, she's supposed to be more sexually active and have more orgasms in order to balance her out and maintain her natural healthiness. It's because it's a woman's natural impulse to be like, Zoop! But she's not supposed to do that. She's not supposed to be closed off to sexuality, because it is ruining her health. If you keep going with your physical impulses, you are decaying your body. In alchemy, your body needs balance, right? So that's why a woman is supposed to be encouraged to be more sexually active. But this is the thing now. People shame you when you do things that are actually healthy. If a man doesn't want to fuck around, then he's basically shamed for it. If a woman does want to explore more of her sexuality and actually gain orgasms, then either she's shamed for it or her orgasm is denied. But that's what sexual shame does. It brings you back to your biological settings, to the detriment of your health, to the detriment of your body, and to the detriment of your relationships. Because once sexual shame comes into the equation, and you've got all these fucking people abusing children, it doesn't become about... It doesn't, because sex is not a normal, natural thing that brings children into the world anymore. It's a form of power, or it's a form of degradation, or it's a form of... Yeah. And it starts from childhood. It starts from what you're taught as a child. If you're, as a child, you're sexually abused, then of course that's going to fuck up your psyche. Why is nobody sympathizing with Jim Jones for what he's actually gone through? Why is it when men go through sexual abuse, they are not sympathized with? That the child in them is not sympathized with. And we instead use that. I mean, with women going through sexual abuse, it's the same thing, especially if that woman is sexually active. Women are shamed for being abused. People seem to be shamed for being abused. It's not right. How are you going to shame people for being abused as children and use that to weaponize that against them in order to call their morals into question? Like I said before, if Adults are behaving in ways that are misogynistic or misandrous, conversely, even though misandry isn't systemic. If you want to call somebody out for being misandrist or misogynistic or anything like that, call them out. But then don't conflate that with rampant sexual abuse of children, because the sexual abuse with children is what needs to be addressed the most. People keep fucking around, ignoring the real issue. The real issue is the sexual abuse of children. And yes, patriarchy has a lot to do with it, because it's built on toxic levels of competition, and yeah. But the child abuse needs to be addressed. It's not right. It's not right. That's the most important thing. The most important thing is not whether black mothers coddle black boys or not. It's about the fact that black boys and black girls are being abused, and that's not focused on. That's what needs to be focused on. Why are black girls and black boys being abused all the time? What the fuck is going on in our families where that's allowed to continue? And yes, I get that it's not just black boys and black girls. The thing about the black community, there's two things wrong with us. First, we attribute every negative thing that we do to be a product of black culture. That's the first thing we do. The second thing we do is we don't shut the fuck up. So those two things combined, it makes the problem of sexual abuse feel like an exclusively black problem, but it's not. It really isn't. It really isn't. It's not. It's just that we wear our dysfunction more openly, but then on the plus side of things, because we wear our dysfunction more openly, we can talk about it more openly. And there's more of an accepting attitude because we can talk about it more openly. So it actually gives us the room and gives us the scope to be able to reflect on how sexual abuse affects us, along with the racism that we are subjected to. Because this is the systemic racism that we go through, I feel, is why a lot of us don't speak out against our own when it comes to sexual abuse, or try to downplay it, especially the men when they go through sexual abuse. I feel like systemic racism plays a part in that. I feel like this expectation of black people to be strong all the time plays a part in that sexual shame. So I feel it compounds upon it. And I feel like that's probably the reason why it's so important to our community, because the systemic racism, it plays a part in how we deal with sexual abuse, whether we know it or not, understand it or not, or accept it or not. It plays a part. Yeah. Yeah, but there's desperation all around, and it's disheartening, you know. It's disheartening to see. And I hate talking about this because I hate being reminded of who I used to be, but then I can't hold the guilt anymore about that. Like, it doesn't change what I did. I mean, I have to take responsibility for how I acted with people, but knowing everything that I know, it's like, if I was to continue to shame myself, or if people continue to shame themselves for sexuality and not really have an honest conversation about it, then it's just continuing the cycle, isn't it? And hopefully with this video, I've kind of broken the cycle, even though I meandered a lot. But with the Jim Jones thing, like, if you want to call him out for his misogyny, call him out for his misogyny. He is responsible for how he treats women. Him, okay? I went through sexual abuse too, but I opened my mind to the possibility of where my behavior could be problematic. I learned about consent. I learned about people's boundaries. I learned about how it affects people when their boundaries are crossed. I learned about these things. I was abused. I learned about these things. So there's no reason why Jim Jones can't learn about these things. There's no reason why T.I. cannot learn about these things. There's no reason why Lil Boozy can't learn about these things. But at this point, they choose not to. So if you want to call them out for that, you can go ahead and call them out for that. But don't weaponize their abuse or their stories or their past to self-aggrandize us, because it doesn't help. Call them out for their behavior and their behavior alone, but don't call them out for how they were treated as children. Don't weaponize that to talk about black mammies coddling. That's not coddling, that's abuse. It's abuse. It's abuse. It's abuse. It's treating your children like emotional spouses. It's abuse. Learn the difference. So anyway, I've got to go. This was an ugly subject to talk about, but it needed to be talked about. But anyway, if you're going to watch this, make sure you like, subscribe. I can't believe I'm doing this. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below. I mean, no. Actually, no. If you don't want to comment below about the experiences that you've had or anything like that, and you just want to talk about the video, then cool, talk about the video, but you don't have to share your experiences with anybody. You're not obligated. Only do it if you feel safe enough. All right? I love you so much, you guys. You take care of yourselves. Mwah. Bye-bye.